We're going to take a deeper dive into the moon of the year. This is that full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius square Uranus on the star Algol, but also reflecting the light of a Mercury in the heart of the sun Cazimi moment happening just before the moon becomes totally full. This is going to be what I would say an amazing, rebellious, freedom loving breakthrough energy, but complicated by the energy as well of stories that connect to Saturn, the ruling planet of this lunation. In this video today, I'm going to tell you how you might use this energy of the Mercury Cazimi, Mercury in the heart of the sun, on Sunday the 18th and Monday the 19th, embedded within the moon itself, because the moon is reflecting the light of the sun and Mercury is in the heart of the sun. So we've got a really amazing sky. It is like the most dramatic, most intense, most game-changing full moon of 2024. There's no two ways about it, but it's also offering us promise of some area of our life from our past Mercury retrograde into the heart of the sun, reflected in a full moon in a 27 degrees of Aquarius. This is indicating also perhaps that there's something from my past, your past, and the collective past that needs to be looked at in order to be found. What was lost can be found. What was, misdirected can be revisioned or revised, regarding matters to do with Leo and a little bit with Virgo, because this retrogradation of Mercury began around August the 5th in the sign of Virgo. So the Virgo Leo energies are asking us to look at something that's already happened and needs to be readdressed. And the already happening from the past that this retrograde is asking us to look at in the sense that in the heart of the sun, Mercury is getting divine instructions and breaking down and breaking through some news stories around Monday, the 19th of August, that connect to events in the world that began to occur when we were in the shadow zone of Mercury retrograde, July the 15th until this point. So those places from the past are being reassessed collectively and individually. Now, already did a video on this moon in which I covered world leaders, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. And I'm not going to go back and do that kind of astrology. This is more just for you today. I'll remind you of the basics. Donald Trump has his Mars at 26 Leo. This Cazimi of the sun is sitting at 26 Leo. So sun and Mercury in the heart of the sun, and then the full moon opposite is happening on Donald Trump's self and other axis, including the axis of his running mate and the seventh house axis of opponents and adversaries. This is a big deal for Donald Trump, who is also under the light of Algol, faced an assassination attempt when Uranus and Mars were conjunct on Algol on July the 15th. So Donald's not out of the story yet. Kamala Harris also is pitching through this story because she has Saturn in her ninth house in Aquarius at 27 degrees, where this moon takes place. So having that moon on her very own Saturn in her ninth house, a very strong placement, triggers a Mars Saturn opposition in her natal chart. She has Mars at 21 Leo. And therefore, that part of her that is the iron fist, or gets frustrated, or hits a wall, or needs to push and shove hard against somebody or something, is activated. And there's a lot going on for Kamala besides the oppositional energies between her natal Saturn and Mars that are being awakened by this full moon and this Mercury Cazimi. She's very complicated. She's very intensely activated by this story. But I would also note to you that we have a square from this full moon to her Jupiter at 24 degrees of Taurus. All said and done, Kamala's hitting a very profoundly difficult week ahead as she heads into the DNC. And when you add the T square with her Venus return, that is in a opposition to Saturn and a square to Mars Jupiter, I don't know what it is. I can been predicting it could be a scandal from her past, Mercury's retrograde. It could be a scandal to do with her Venus, who's in a condition of fall in the fourth house, family of origin scandals, mother scandals, hidden private love story and money scandals. She may be coming into scandalous stories or difficult terrain that rocks the feel-good vibe. And when I did my Kamala video in my election series, I said, Kamala Harris on the rise for now. You know, that's the title of the thumbnail, because I could see this big storm that's going to hit her. And then not Donald Trump, then Joe Biden has his sun, 12th house sun at 27 Scorpio, creating a grand cross, a crucifixion energy to this full moon and this sun moon opposition of Mercury Cazimi. It's just like, wow, you know. So I'm not going to go back and cover all of that. Netanyahu's ascendant is squaring this difficult and super hot T-squaring. He's involved in the connection to this as well with his Sagittarius ascendant. Anything else I want to say? Well, not from the moon, but from the actual T-square that we have going on. So yeah, it's difficult. The T-square between Venus opposite Saturn, squared Jupiter Mars. That's going to impact Netanyahu's chart personally, and the sun of of Israel is 23 Taurus. That's where Algol and Mars were. Now Algol Uranus is still there. That's also going to hit the sun, the leader or the leadership of the nation of Israel. Everything this week is complicated, difficult, and extremely challenging. Val, we're not going to do world astrology today. Some of you don't like it anyway. But you know, my brand is start off the beginning with the world stories, then move into your personal. This is the opposite. We're doing your personal with very little world stories. Now, welcome to my channel. If you're one of my regulars, thanks for coming back. And if you're brand new, thank you for being here. I use the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, and fixed stars and minor asteroids. And my name is Lori Lothian. In today's video, I hope you'll give me a chance by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And if you want to learn astrology to time your best life, be your own astrologer, my course starts probably the last weekend of September. The wait list is below to get early bird notice discounts and know when the tuition card opens. 5th time teaching this class live, 6 weeks, coaching calls, Q&A, homework assignments, the works. It's for you to learn how to understand your sky and time your life using ancient predictor tools. Jump aboard, see if it's your cup of tea. All right, so, and my all signs are for sale. Go below in the description box, click the more button. It's a half price summer sale on 2024 videos for your sign with a forecast of the whole year. Those were never publicly allowed here. I didn't put them on YouTube. They were purchased last fall by people who follow my channel. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting sky. And let me just say a few things. Let's go Uranus for a minute, right? That's what everyone was talking about. Uranus. I mean, it's sitting up there on Algol, the star for Medusa's head decapitation, right? That's why Joe was decapitated. Joe Biden stepped down because he literally stepped down from his head, the head job of running for the ticket. He may still step down this week ahead from being the president. I don't know. That's how intense the sky is for Joe Biden. But because he has the sun at 27 degrees of Scorpio, just FYI, you know, this big moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius opposite a sun at 27 degrees of Leo, conjunct Mercury, is a big deal for him. It's going to really clobber him. And then we have the energy of the Taurus Algol story as well. So this is like a grand cross energy. Taurus, Algol, in, you know, Uranus opposite his sun, which can be his vitality, by the way, but also his career and reputation. One thing I would say is Uranus is freedom, rebellion, eclecticism, eccentric energy. It's literally about breaking through, breaking free energetically. It's a pattern interrupt. Something's got to give. It's the Tower card with a lightning bolt that strikes the tower in the tarot and the people fall from the tower. It's a paradigm shifting energy. And when you see Uranus, you also see the unexpected and the surprising and the disruptive. So we have an unexpected, surprising, and disruptive week. But we also know that rebellion and freedom and revolution can be a Uranian story. When the United States had the insurrection day, Mars was in Taurus, had just entered with co-presence with Uranus. We had a rebellion at the Capitol Hill. You'll see Mars Uranus also looking like earthquakes, big tsunamis, big elements, especially to do with Earth, Taurus, shocking events to do with the Earth itself. And the reason we want to say that it could be up this week ahead, and just for the general, is that with Mars moved off of Algol and 26 degrees of Taurus with Uranus and moved on now. He's gone. Bye-bye Taurus, right? Just moved into Gemini. He's now joined with Jupiter, which is bold, confident, courageous, heroic energy. But at the same time he's done that, he's now in the sign of Gemini with Jupiter, yet embroiled in a T-square this week. That's not an easy space. He is in a square relationship or a difficult relationship to Venus and to Saturn. So anything to do with weather and disruptive weather patterns from the Mars-Uranus Algol conjunction, Algol, corpses, ghouls, bodies of the dead, rotting bodies, it's pretty intense. That is still playing out. You know, when we had that July the 15th Mars-Uranus conjunction, people went, nothing happened except Donald Trump was almost assassinated because it was square as ascendant. And that was predicted by me as a possibility. And many other astrologers saw similar trends there. It is the Mars-Uranus conjunction, the last in our lifetime in Taurus. We had one in 2021. We had one in 2022. That was in August. Back in 21, it was February, if I remember correctly. This is the last one where Mars will meet with the outside god of the outer planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus. They happen to do it, Mars, with Algol. And this star is now in the sphere of the world for 2 years. And the darkest side is the decapitating Algol story is ghouls and bodies of corpses. I'm not trying to scare you because there's hope here. But this is not just about what happened on July the 15th with that conjunction. This that decapitated Joe from his ticket, being on the ticket, that almost ended Trump's life by a bullet hitting his head instead it nicked his ear. What I would say is that this is a traditional synodic cycle that doesn't close out for 2 years. And so July 15th, add 2 years. What's going on in the world that has Algol embedded? You want to get my webinar that I taught July the 14th, 13th, whatever, I'll give it to you for free. Okay, so people signed up for it. It was free. The link will be in my description box. Click the more button. Go watch how that cycle is repeating and rinsing and changing your life in the next 2 years. I also have a video on my channel for all signs that already covers that. So go watch that too. But I'm harping on Algol because Uranus is on Algol. Uranus is on Algol all the way till next June, on and off from exact points in the sky in which he touches down with Algol. So there's a sense then that we have this Algolish energy that continues to shock and surprise us because we get shocks and surprises when we're talking about Uranus. We don't expect it, but we get rebellion and freedom-seeking behaviors and revolutionary energy as well. So how can you use this moon this week ahead? And I will be showing you the chart and going through your sign with the Mercury Cazimi embedded within it. I taught a free webinar, a Mercury Cazimi webinar today, August the 17th, the day I'm recording. If you would like to get the replay, I'll put the link in my description box so you can know how to use the Cazimi, which happens around 7 p.m. exactly. Mercury in the perfect heart of the sun from his retrogradation between the earth and the sun, around 7 p.m. Pacific Daily Time, 6 hours before and after, sometimes even 12, but for sure 6, you're in the energy sphere of a Cazimi. And so you can use that. And that webinar teaches you how. It talks about the asteroids enmeshed in this story, which are, interestingly, Vesta, Athena, Sappho, and Gieniah. Now they're all feminine asteroids. Finally, this moon update. We're going to talk a little bit, and I want you to hang in there with me. I want to talk about the general broad things you might do with it, and I'm going to bring you into your sign. The Vestal flame of sacred devotion, what ignites your soul, what is you want to do from a sense of sacred discipline and duty rather than drudgery and obligation. Because she tended a sacred fire to keep the Rome in peace. She forfeit the energy of having children and getting married to do this greater sacrifice in order to serve the greater good. But she was rewarded by wealth and power in ancient Rome. When she retired at age 36, the 6 virgins served the greater good. Also tending the hearth flame and the hearth fire of your home. But the hearth fire of the home is a hearth fire of one's heart's true desire. And therefore, especially in Leo, which is the heart of our being. It is our courage. It is our core. It is our heart. It is our creative expression. The Vestal flame asks each of us, because she is embedded at the Mercury Sun Cazimi, she's embedded in it, and it's reflected by the light of the full moon in Aquarius. What do we wish to individually discover in our lives that's creative, heart-centered, expressive, coming from a sacred flame that you can see is coming from a place of a devotion, an eternal devotion to something greater than you, something that serves the collective. If you can see that spark, there is that spark of the Vestal flame within the Mercury Cazimi that's being reflected by the light of a full moon. The outcome of that spark being lit, the big litter of your soul ignition, is it will reflect into the collective Aquarius, the water bearer, an angel pouring the healing waters onto humanity in the archetype. It is like the star card in the tarot. And there's something about this Cazimi and this reflected Cazimi in the light of a full Aquarius moon squaring Algol and Uranus that invites us to radically break free and break through of things from our past, Mercury's retrograde, things from our past in Leo, Virgo, in our sky that hold us back from the truest creative spark of the divine expression within us, how we can be the king and the queen of our lives in a creative and expressive way that benefits we, the collective, we, the people, societal structures, etc. You know, Aquarius is mental. It's like Spock in Star Trek. Leo is like Captain Kirk. And, you know, Spock was a kind of like a downer, right? Negative captain, positive captain, but he also kept Captain Kirk from doing things that were solely heart-based or overly courageous. You know, it kept him in check. So we kind of have a vibe here of the heart that wants to express itself from the expressive creative energies of Leo. And that's where Mercury and the sun and the Vestal flame all collide together on Sunday, on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. You're feeling this. And then of August. And then the full moon, Spock on the other side, wants to measure it out in rational, linear head ways. So it's a head-heart kind of polarity anytime we go Leo, Aquarius. But now we have breakthrough because a T-square, which is powerful, difficult, but powerful. The T-square brings us challenges that make us we need to make decisions and take actions when we see a T-square because it embeds two squares, which are the nature of Mars, and an opposition, which is the nature of Saturn. I, thou, polarity through oppositional energies to self and other need to be reconciled, where the T-square peak is Uranus. And Uranus is saying something like, revolt, rebel, break free, be original, break the mold, abandon all, but, you know, what is it? Like, proceed with abandon. So when I look at the archetypal energy of this as well, I also thought to look quickly at Renn Butler's archetypal universe. What does Renn Butler, the archetypal universe, tell me? And I'll be sharing him on my channel soon because I'm going to promote one of his courses coming up this fall. But what does Renn Butler say about this energy when you combine forces of the sun with Uranus? And there's interesting energies because on the highest expression of Sun Uranus, don't forget, Mercury in the heart of the sun is squaring Uranus, and then the full moon is reflecting that. The light of the full moon is reflecting that. You can say the following things: unexpected breakthroughs and awakenings, a brilliant light of rebirth, a heightened sense of freedom, individuation, independence, and unique opportunities for creative Leo self-expression. The downside will be erratic behavior, excessive urges for independence, inability to cooperate or compromise. So then that's a dark side of rebellion, like storming the Capitol may not have been the best choice. You know, there are other ways to rebel other than violence, for example, or, you know, whatever. We'll have the Democratic National Convention this week ahead. Like 1968, we are having a repeating sky. I'm tired of explaining why. We literally have everything in place in terms of the eclipses and Chiron co-present that led to Lyndon Baines Johnson stepping away from the ticket to be the candidate for the election, passing it on to Hubert Humphreys. It's going into the DNC. There was riots and a terrible protests in the city of Chicago where the Democratic National Convention happened, overreacted and had a ton of police. The police turned violent and were battering, you know, the protesters. The protesters were protesting the Vietnam War. Can you see anything that might happen this time? Wouldn't there not potentially be a lot of protests at the Democratic National Convention around the Biden administration's policies regarding Israel, Gaza? Probably it's exactly the same thing. And that can be the Uranus square, the sun energy, Mercury retrograde. There have been protests from the past. They're coming back. But it's disruptive. difficult, challenging, and surprising energy. And I don't think it's just about that. I think it's deeper than that, but it's certainly that as well for the world. Two roads diverged. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. That Frost quote from Renn Butler's Archetypal Universe is highly evocative because it makes me realize that we all have a choice point coming up anytime you see squares, T-squares, etc. And frankly, it's a grand cross if I put Athena in Scorpio into the mix. I'll show you the sky in a minute. So we're coming up to critical choice points, radical turning points, and big surprises in this week ahead, spinning off the full moon in Aquarius. The full moon in Aquarius is in a radically rebellious third decan of the sign of Aquarius. It already is associated with difficult circumstances like the tarot card, the Seven of Swords. The third decan of the sign of Aquarius is also known. Let me read that to you. I'm going to read it to you. You're going to love this quote I'm going to give you. Give me a sec, guys. I'm going to pull it back up. I just had it open. And of course, when you have something open, it disappears on you when you need it on a YouTube video. So I'm going to reference a quote. I'm going to give you where it comes from. So a fellow astrologer, Marina of Dark Star Astrology, produced a Wheel of Stars PDF that I purchased years ago. And it's really her interpretation of all of the decans of the astrological wheel, of which there are 36 10-degree segments of each of the wheel, 3 for each sign. And I really like that document. I use it quite a lot for myself when I'm just looking at things going on in my own sky. But I love what she says in particular about the energy of this story, right? And the energy of this decan being particularly rebellious. And she is really indicating that that's one of its meanings. And we have some stars there as well in the third decan of Aquarius. I'm going to mention right now, Gieniah, G-I-E-N, I'll try to spell it. I'll get to that in a minute, is somebody who soars to great heights and falls from great heights. Okay. It's the tip of the wing of Cygnus the Swan in the star constellation of the Swan. Somebody who soars to great heights and falls from great heights is at 27 Aquarius, and that is where this full moon is. And so who in our collective sphere is soaring to a great height and may fall from a great height? Netanyahu, because he's soaring to a great height, although to me it looks pretty perilous. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, somebody well known. Soaring and falling, world leaders soaring to great height and falling is what that star can indicate. When she talks about the Aquarius decan, however, she does talk about it as being a particularly rebellious archetype. And she says of decan 3, Aquarius decan 3, let me pull up the quote. Okay, Aquarius decan 3 is ruled by the moon and Venus because it's a Libra triplicity. It brings the confrontation of the old and the new. So this is the most revolutionary and edgy decan of Aquarius. So the old clashing with the new. Wow. Well, we have Jupiter, the Mount Olympus God clashing with Saturn, his dad, the Titan god, in a square at the time of this particular moon, while also those two are tangling in an opposition, a square to Venus fallen in Virgo. With Venus fallen in Virgo, I tend to think we might see a fall like of a feminine energy, a woman falling, a woman having a fall of some sort that's going to look like maybe a female politician, maybe, or just somebody falling from power. So we're going to move on to your sign, and we're going to talk about how, as Saturn is the traditional ruler of the full Aquarius moon that reflects a Mercury Cazimi from a retrograde Mercury. We're going to talk about what in your past from the Virgo Leo part of your sky needs to be addressed. Obviously, that's important. Mercury began his retrogradation in the sign of Virgo and then moved into Leo. We'll move into Leo retrograde when we get to the August the 15th. So we're going to look at the Leo and the Mercury narrative, or did get into Leo on August the 15th. I'm forgetting I'm recording on the 17th. And we're going to talk about Saturn because Saturn is the traditional ruler of the sign of Aquarius. Modern ruler is Uranus and Taurus on Algol, but Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. And when you think about where Saturn sits as this full moon happens in Aquarius, his home kingdom, for instance, Saturn is in the 10th house where the midheaven is of, Donald Trump. Saturn is in Pisces, where the midheaven is of Kamala Harris. Brain come back online. Algol Uranus is on Trump's midheaven. He's still in harm's way, still in danger from something. He probably just quit the job or have a health problem. But if you think about where Saturn sits for you, because Saturn's in Kamala's career, reputation, high noon spot in the real-time sky in the sign of Pisces, right? So that's like going to reflect the full moon on Kamala's 9th house Saturn, and it's going to bring some of the action into the house 1 over where Saturn is sitting, her 10th house. We're going to draw into the story today in your sign, something I haven't done on my other video, which is talk about the 2 elements, the Mercury Cazimi and the role it plays with the Vestal flame in your life. And as we also want to know what Saturn, the ruler of this particular full moon in Aquarius, is doing, we're going to talk about how Saturn is going to bring some action from the moon into the house 1 over from where it is occurring. And technically, we can also do a categorical meaning. 2nd house from anything is about money, earnings, possessions, financial resources. So there's a sense that as Saturn will be in 1 sign over from Aquarius, that in all of our lives and the world at large, financial wellness, survival, material wellness matters are going to be highlighted in the full moon. The last thing I want to say is this: every full moon is always taking a story that began on the new moon in Aquarius and taking it further 6 months later. So for all of us, it's important to think back to what we were doing in the Aquarian new moon era, which was happening in the winter. So I'll give you the exact date. So February the 5th, 2024, there was a new moon in Aquarius. Now we have a full moon in Aquarius. So elements that began in your life as new seeds that you may have been planting in February are coming to critical, somewhat shocking, somewhat surprising turning points. Okay. So tie in February and the fulfillment of this energy now. All the moons that we get, full and new, tend to revert for like about 2 weeks to a month after, but also can follow out up to 6 months later. So we're looking at what's going on this week for you, for me. It's what we may feel happening pretty close to the actual full moon on Monday, followed by a couple of weeks or even up to a month before the next full moon happens. And so it's kind of like look for the short-term acute story in our lives, but also look for the personal long range of the next 6 months. And I don't know, guys. I feel like this moon is going to bring us some kind of blindside, something we didn't see, something really left field. It's like it's in Aquarius that rules UFOs, technology and science, medicine as well. But also because of the Algol square Uranus in Taurus, stock markets, currencies, housing market, weather and climate shocks. I'm more inclined towards a weather climate shock myself, like an earthquake. I don't know, California had a rumble recently, a 4 point something, I think, magnitude, and Japan's always at risk, etc. So we've got stuff going on. Pattern interrupt is what I'm hearing. You know how it is when you're stuck in a groove and you want to break free and you need to find a new way to do it. So you need a pattern interrupt, something that breaks a pattern. That feels true. It feels like the world needs a pattern interrupt. We're all kind of going along in the extraordinary polarity of these times in which everything, civil discourse is gone. I can't even do a video anymore on politics without having people tell me that I'm evil, wrong, and bad, misguided, and what do you call it? And that I'm leaning into one side or the other, that I'm politically motivated. I'm not. I'm Canadian. I don't care if I'm Canadian or not. I don't care about politics. I never have. I care about predictions for world events in the collective sphere. But, I'm not telling you. Some astrologers are very political. They're biased in what they do. I know a lot of Democrats who keep saying, that Biden was fine and there was nothing wrong with him astrologically, and just a general, and everyone could see something was wrong with Biden. And when I said Biden was stepped down, people slammed me that I was, malefic MAGA mind or something. And of course, Biden stepped down. It was in the astrology guys that Biden was stepped down. And so people's astrology gets so compromised. I know an astrologer I know who said, oh, it was just a bad night on debate night. She's an astrologer. I'm like, bad night on debate night? Pluto is square, opposite his moon. He had an eclipse to his moon. Solar arc Pluto is opposite his moon. The Algol Mars Uranus is going to square his sun. You didn't need to be an astrologer to see there was problems with Joe Biden, but the astrology showed you why. So anyway, enough said. Let's get going into your sign. That was a rant, but I'm like, if you can be civil in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. Seriously. I just saw a fellow astrologer I know put a new big thing up, if you're going to make bad comments, I'm deleting you. This is a friendly community to start her video. And I don't blame her, because I've been doing astrology online for 5 years, and I've never seen the level of vitriol, anger, and meanness is taking place amongst each other in the comments or directed at people like me. So just keep in mind that, if you don't have anything nice to say, as my mom would say, don't say it, why bother? All right, here we go. I'm not complaining. It's just life, but I'm just reminding you, before you start making your gnarly comment, maybe think about it twice. This is the sky. This is August the 18th when the Cazimi is happening. And I will annotate this for you. And on the 19th, the moon becomes full. Mercury is in the heart of the sun around 26 degrees and 35 minutes, around 7 p.m. my time, Pacific Daily. It says Australia, Vancouver, but it's Vancouver, Canada. I have no idea why it says Australia. It's okay, though. It does work to be Vancouver. I'll edit the chart to make sure. I don't know. Does anyone else like this software as much as I don't? I find this software always has the weirdest glitches, and I'm using Astro Gold for Mac. Okay, now it's Vancouver, Canada. So we have this energy of a Cazimi conjunct the Vestal flame of what is igniting your soul, what truly you want to devote yourself to. That's not just out of some kind of cultural duty, comes from the heart, comes from how you want to express your heart in this world, how you want to be a heartfelt leader in your self-expression, and how Mercury says bring something back from the past, back from the Virgo part of your sky when Mercury began retrograding, whatever date that was, August the 5th, and back from the Leo part of the sky where he is during the Cazimi. So both those houses are requiring you to redredge and really root through the closet of what you might need to go back, lost and found, what your lost and found is in Virgo and in Leo in your whole sign house sky. Whole sign houses, please. Otherwise, Placidus will screw you up, if you ask me. And this is an energy that's asking you to really say, can I repurpose something that was from my past to have a sacred devotion duty, a spark of ignition in my soul? And also, we have a lot of energy. I did this in my Cazimi. I'm not going to go into it today. If you want to listen to my Mercury webinar, that's Athena, the goddess of victory and war, but also strategy, knowledge, and wisdom. That's Sappho, the 10th muse, two symbols of Venus to do with sexual desire, love, and erotic energies and poetry. This is also connected in the sky at the time of this full moon to the energy of course, the moon, which will be full when it gets to 27 degrees. Right over here, and also to, of course, Uranus on Algol, where Mars was on July 15th. You might notice that we're getting the sky on Sunday, the 18th, looking a lot like a grand cross. And a grand cross is very challenging, but brings power and greatness if you can harness the energies that need to be reconciled. So we have Uranus in opposition to Athena, strategy, wisdom, and knowledge, and victory and war. Uranus, shock and awe, and opposite this way, boom, the energies of how Mercury in the heart of the sun is being reflected by a full moon in Aquarius. Yeah. Now, this is Gieniah, the astrology of music, poetry, music, song, and dance, astronomy, and astrology. She's sitting at 27 degrees of Libra. FYI, that's right on Kamala Harris's sun. So there's a Uranian muse on her sun, but also each of us receives this blessing in a wedge formation from Gieniah to the sun, Mercury conjunction to the moon. And a wedge is a lovely energy that allows for dispelling of tension at 27 degrees of Libra, or the Libra part of each of our skies. For the nation of Israel, this is going to be connected to the identity of Israel in the sign of Libra, where the eclipse of October of 2023 was right on the ascendant of Libra, of Israel in Libra, with the South Node indicating, of course, the Hamas incursion into Israel and the war that followed. So this is literally a sky story in which something is trying to shift for Israel at the time of this full moon at a couple of weeks minimum. Afterward, Libra is a sign of negotiations, treaties, and peace. I'm knowing that there's a ceasefire deal trying to be cobbled out. I'm on Saturday, August the 17th. It hasn't happened yet, but I would say that there's a possibility of this turning around, possibly, maybe. That's a hope come true during this time. The ninth house in the nation of Israel belongs to its religious structures, but also to foreign lands and foreign shores. And people from those places, like jurisprudence, ICJ, United Nations, ICC, energetics flowing to this part of the sky. Leo happens to be Iran's ascendant, by the way. So that's interesting because there's tension there now, but maybe they can work it out. And then, of course, the moon in Aquarius for the nation of Israel is activating the fifth house of the nation of Israel, which is a house of good fortune. So possibly, we're going to see a breakthrough 2 weeks after this moon with some temporary or permanent ceasefire negotiations in Gaza/Israel stories. Israel cannot survive. The economy is tanking unless it cleans up this war. The Palestinian people have nowhere to go home to because every infrastructure bit's been destroyed. I have no idea how that's going to work, but let's see. Anything else to say about the greater sky picture? No, that's it. If you want to learn a little bit more about, and don't forget one more thing, and we're going to do your sign, I promise. Bait and switch, right? I promise, but just reminding you of something, okay? And then at the same time, we have a big grand cross formed in the sky from the full moon that's exact on the 19th. We also have this T-square that everyone's talking about. Venus, 17 degrees of Virgo, Jupiter, 17 degrees with Mars, and Saturn, 17 degrees of Pisces, T-square. Gritty turning point energies that require change and action. And the T-square is connected to Venus that belongs to Kamala in her fourth house at 17 degrees of the sign of Virgo, just like this sky. Jupiter and Mars are positive together, bold, ambitious, courage and action, super heroic energies, courage of one's convictions, fortunate action. And of course, Saturn is here. Now, this is also the ascendant of the United States of America, right over here in the sign of Sagittarius, creating a, of course, massive grand cross to the ascendant of the United States in a whole sign way. And it is pretty close. The ascendant of the United States and Sagittarius and the Sibley natal chart is at 12 degrees. So there's a critical turning point involving the United States of America. And it connects to Venus in which part of America's chart? The 10th house. Female in leader, 10th house energies, critical turning points. I still think Donald might swap out J.D. Vance for a female running mate. Nikki Haley or Tulsi Gabbard are probably his logical choices. That's that. Let's go ahead and let's stop that share let's clear that screen. And let's talk about your sign. When you listen to your sign, you can listen for your rising sign to be the character you play in the simulation, your avatar. If you're the actor, this is the role you've been assigned. You can think about your sun as your actor self or your game player, your deep eternal nature, your soul, your higher self, the eternal you. You can think, or your core essential nature, and you can think of your moon as the temporary body-mind complex, the way you think and feel about your life, Your mind is disturbed when your moon is disturbed. Check it out. Anytime some bad shit crosses your moon, like Mars, you're probably agitated. So your moon is your mind, your body-mind complex, and it can affect your body when things happen to your moon as well as your ascendant. Joe Biden had an eclipse to his moon and his mind went and his body's going downhill as well. So that eclipse happened last year in October and he's been going downhill since then, visibly. So when you have energies here to listen to today, try all three. I suggest your rising sign and your sun are often most easily understood, and the moon is more subtle and subjective in perspective. So let's get, and sometimes the moon can be about your home and your home needs, because the Cancer moon energy is about the traditional fourth house of the natal sky when it comes to an Aries rising or a tropical zodiac chart. So let's start off with Aries. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Today's video will probably go approximately in total an hour and a half if you're trying to figure out how long to hang out here in the live premiere. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign, the sky opens up a story for you with a full moon coming off of February's new moon, asking for a completion but a revision. How are you going to go back over something that the Vestal flame of soul ignition asked you to tend to fire in when it comes to your creative expression and your heart-centered desires? It's Leo, coming back from the Virgo and the Leo zone of your sky, because this moon is reflecting the light of Mercury, Sun, and Vesta into Aquarius, right? So we have to look at what the moon reflects, and she's reflecting this little triad over here. So energetically, here's what I'd say. Your sixth house has to do with work. What kind of work from your past wants to return that's of greater service to the greater good? Virgo, what health routines and health structures from the past want to return and be expressed so that you have vitality, joy, innocence, and creativity, entrepreneurial energy, and your inner artist is aflame, because we see the arts and the artists and the muse always embroiled in the fifth house. So you could have a baby business, or a baby creative project. Those things belong to the Leonine fifth house of your Aries sky. To pull energy back from the past, you might go back to an old job, an old rental property, etc. Pets and domestic animals may come back that bring you greater joy, fulfillment, and innocence, and a fresh sense of inspiration, which are fifth house energies. Virgo is connected here. Venus is in the house sign of Virgo to debts. And if there's debts owed you from the past in some way, those debts, literally karmic or real, can come back to you, that, and in such a way that it fuels the house of good fortune. So your fifth house is alive and well. Possibly some of you could even win some money off of this, even though it's an intense week. It's fulfilling a full moon in the house of pennies from heaven, great gains from your career, and sometimes just windfalls up here. And also you might want to ask yourself, how about strategic Athena in the eighth house of chunky money and shared resources? So, take a positive spin. Maybe some of you are going to win some money, and that chunky money that you share with another, a bank, a mortgage, investment firm, a shareholder in a company, things like that could be very active for you in the couple of weeks to a month after this moon. The shock and awe of Uranus is, oh my God, where is this? This is a very money this is all money for you guys, right? This is all money. So where is this money story taking place for you? It's about creativity, earnings, money luck, shared resources with others, debts, and earnings from your career. Very big focal point that wants to dramatically change, an exciting breakthrough, break free, Algol, well, star, right? Uranus ways. So you're going to have a breakthrough vibe. And because Algol Uranus does flow to Venus, and she is still a benefic, some positive work turning points in your life that increase dramatically or suddenly your financial well-being. Not just on the full moon of the 19th, but potentially over the course of the 6 months that follow, with an emphasis on the 2 weeks after. What about Saturn? Saturn is the lunation lord, and Saturn, the lunation lord, is sitting in the sign of Pisces. And in your chart, Pisces is your 12th house of money you generate from far off foreign shores, digital income, borderless revenue. It's a place of addictions and self-undoing. You may translate the light of the full moon perhaps into matters of the end of an addictive pattern, especially with this Mars, this especially with this Saturn opposite to Venus. So at the end of addictive patterns and habits and self-sabotage definitely are possible in shocking, surprising, and sudden ways. Breakthroughs, basically, especially when it comes to things you put in your mouth or in your nose that you shouldn't, where Uranus Algol sit. But also financial breakthroughs can occur here if your money is made from international sources, from your career or wherever you're getting income from. And the full moon in the 11th house of great financial gain from one's career, as well as recognition and popularity with the moon up there, are about to take a turn into the 12th house energies, where Saturn says, second from the moon, second house from the moon, your financial well-being depends on clearing up the self-sabotaging patterns and addictions, karma and ancestral patterns, family of origin patterns, 12th house, on your spiritual attainment and liberation, and on the way you generate money or resources from foreign places, foreign people, and foreign lands. And some of you may or may not do that. But even if you say, no, I don't do that, I'd be surprised if you were finding that suddenly Great Aunt Sue from, who lives in Siberia suddenly sent you a bit of money in her inheritance or something. Things can happen that surprise you from people in far off foreign shores and lands that benefit your chunky money, basically. Because when Saturn is here, he's talking to your chunky money house, and he's the Lord of the full moon. That's it, guys. I'm moving on to the next sign, and I will clear the sky. And I want to make sure that I can progress the chart, because it may not be. Yes, pinned to 0, Aries. So close your eyes for a minute. Close your eyes, whole sign. And if you haven't hit that like button yet, please do. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video. Your efforts help this channel grow. And when you help the channel grow, yay. All right. Yay me and yay you, I hope. Except for the 18th, of course, the full moon itself is on the 19th. But as we progress the chart, the moon is moving quickly. So if you don't mind understanding, the moon is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. You're just not seeing it here. Now, number one. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Boy, oh boy, are you feeling it, right? Because Algol, Mars, Uranus, all that stuff is happening in the sign that belongs to you. So if you're a Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, and your rising sun and moon is anywhere from 20 to 29 degrees Taurus, you're really intensely activated by this full moon. So keep that in mind. Now, you've been revising and recreating and becoming a freedom lover, breakthrough person in your career, sun, moon, body, mind complex, or home, and your rising sign ever since 2019, when Uranus entered your sign. But 21 February and August of 22, Mars Uranus conjunctions kept resetting you there. And this is your last of a lifetime reset of your basic identity, sun, career, purpose. It's big for you. So definitely want to grab that replay of the Mars conjunction to Uranus webinar and watch my long all signs video on that as well. It's on my channel. Go look through my videos, because it's important to you. Very important. Now, Taurus people, this full moon is happening at 27 degrees of Aquarius. And you can see that 27 to 8, this is your 10th house. You can see that it's your house of career and reputation. And you can see Pluto is here, giving you an extra edge, more power, more wealth, more ambition. However, he happens to be retrograde. So it's not quite as great as it will be after mid-November, when he's going to go forward back into your 10th house and be there for 20 years. But you're powering up in that area. And this is a flavor of that energy of Pluto's desire to move you into intense energy in your career house, including death and rebirth and change and transformation over the next 2 decades. Keep that in mind. The full moon is going to reflect something going on down here. And what's happening is Mercury is in the heart of the sun retrograde, connected to the Vestal flame of what ignites your soul. That's creative and expressive, and also leonine, leaderful. Lion, Queen, and King is here in your 4th house. Home, property, land, real estate, reflected in the light of career and success in your career. The Vestal flame is your hearth fire, your home. And what are you trying to light there? Are you trying to light a sacred devotion to your partner, a sacred temple in the kitchen? Are you going to have to learn to become, And you give me a famous chef, someone. In my era, it was the Galloping Gourmet. Are you going to become more chefy and tending the hearth fires of your home? Certainly, that's a possibility, because what this moon is reflecting is things you do in and from your home that are going to be disciplined, perseverant, dutiful in a sacred and heart-centered way. It's interesting because, of course, this is what you eat or put in your mouth, and this is the kitchen goddess in the home. So, there's a flow from Jupiter, Mars, and a lot of you may be changing the way you eat and the foods you ingest and the substances you put in your mouth and nose over the course of this full moon fallout, basically. Because Mercury is retrograde, he definitely wants you to take things back from your fifth house: sexuality, romantic love, children, pregnancy, creativity, fertility, and entrepreneurship. And they're from your past. He retrograded at 5 degrees of Virgo. What creative, artistic, inspired, sexually romantic, fertility energy from your past, including pregnancy, wants to come from the past into the now, right? Retrogradation to be found again. What is lost can be found here. Rejuvenating your romantic life from your home base, rejuvenating your creative life and your artistic life from your home base. Hobbies belong to the fifth. A return of an old hobby. Do you knit? Do you paint? Do you do pottery? Bringing it home, back to your home, because you need to be alive again, sparked with enthusiasm, and ignite your soul. I would say that you may have, as this moon is reflecting this private life, dark, the dark midnight hour is the fourth house. Things you're doing in your private life are sparking your career success over the course of the next 6 months. And it's interesting to note that the Algol square with Uranus just means surprising change. You're in charge of it. It's like you're wielding Algol. You got the Medusa's head in your hand. You got the rebellious, freedom-loving, breaking through, liberating, eccentric, fly your own freak flag, Uranus, in the sign of your sun, moon, or rising. So you've got this, really. You're kind of in charge of it. I'm not so worried. And Venus is also your actual Lord. She's also flowing to you and this Algol moment. She likes this story. Even if she's in her fall, she's yay you from fertility, creativity. Now, be careful. Venus is not retrograde. She's direct motion in the house of pregnancy, indicating for some Tauruses getting someone pregnant. If you're a male, and if you're a female, you could get pregnant. Would you want to? You'll probably find it to be a happy surprise, just because of Algol being surprising, but Venus being positive. And also, we want to just briefly mention, I think, that, and we do have Athena here, so some strategic victories in your long-term committed love stories are possible through a crucible of change, intensity, opposition, and conflict in the 2 weeks after this moon. And because Saturn is the lord of the moon, the lunation lord, full moon is happening in his kingdom of Aquarius, and he's one sign over here. This simply means that you are going to look at this as financially positive fulfillment through the career part of your sky. The 11th house are the gains in reputation and financial gains from the 10th house of the actions you take in the world. I hear you. I'm retired. I'm a student. Well, what are you doing the world sees you doing? They could bring recognition, applause, celebrity. I'm giving you 11th house words, perks, new groups of belonging or leadership or influence, but also money, financial well-being, because second house from the moon means money story. So this moon wants to deliver some financial wellness through the 11th house. Finally, financial wellness could emerge in your life through an elder sibling, especially one older than you, or a friend who acts like an ally, a benefactor, a bestie who wants to help you out in a financial way. So if you're having financial struggles, Taurus, an elder sibling in particular, or friend, ally, benefactor may emerge in the 6 months after this moon to give you the goods and give you some financial wellness as well. Okay, moving on to the next sign. All right. here we have Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a story that you're going to see, I think, as something connected to fulfilling something you planted maybe in February, a new moon in Aquarius, to a full light, a fulfillment, or a completion. And the completion and fulfillment of the story begun in February 5th, new moon, is in the Aquarius part of your sky, and that's your ninth house. Now, Pluto's here, as I mentioned, for every sign. I'm reminding you that Pluto's watching over this story. He's here, newly hatched. He'll be here for 20 years, minus a September to November deviation. So power, passion, purpose, and transformation are possible through your spiritual life, through your connection to a spiritual path, to your dharma, finding what your true calling and meaning of life is, but also to book publishing, publications, podcasting, serialized podcasting in particular. So stabilized media, things that you publish, and they are not just transient like a newspaper. Ninth house is also foreign countries, foreign shores, and third marriages. And those places, foreign land, foreign travel, foreign shores, and third marriages, legal and court matters as well, are hyper focused on the full moon here. The full moon is connected to reflection of the Mercury in the heart of the sun, Cazimi. Please go check the free webinar out, because I taught it already, but you don't want to miss how to harness some of the asteroids in this magical Cazimi moment. But Cazimi Mercury retrograde with the Vestal flame. What is going to ignite your soul, discipline, sacred duty in the house of writing, communicating, writing, communicating, selling and marketing, perhaps, online world, social media land can be the third house. All the platforms where all the news is fit to print belong to the third house. You speech magazines and periodicals. Now it's like my blog, my podcast, my YouTube channel. So this is a place where you need to find that sacred flame that ignites your heart, that comes from a place of the core, the heart of the lion, that really lights you up. So it's really asking for you to source the fulfillment of ninth house matters from a place of sacred spark. So also, you might wonder about what's coming from your past, because Mercury started the retrograde in the fourth house, home, land, property, real estate, around the 5th of August. And he's going backwards now through Leo. So things from the past are being reflected for Mercury's journey retrograde. What ancestral childhood things from your past may need to be looked at, revised, and refound or rediscovered because of Mercury in this writing, communicating house. What spark around writing, communicating, teaching and learning? I almost forgot. Third house is skills-based teaching and learning. Where's the spark that needs to be ignited here? So you can publish or share something in a broader spiritual house of God, ninth house platform. It's like the pulpit up there, right? So where is your pulpit wanting to have a full light, but you've sourced it in the house of the goddess, the third house, from the deepest heart of your hearts. With a Mercury beginning the retrograde in the fourth house, it can be practically like a place that you lived in the past, a home setting is coming back for you in the 6 months that follows this. And, you may move because of it. Certainly, I wouldn't think that would be too hard to happen, because Jupiter, Mars in the sign of Gemini is looking at Venus here going, yes, Mars likes to move as well as make change happen. Venus says change of home. Some of you may be changing your home because of this full moon, but in a way, then as Mercury says, you've been there before. It's not brand new. You could move to a place you've been before. This is also noteworthy to see Athena here in the house of rentals and pets, debts, and work. So we have this energy in the sky, as I pointed out earlier, that's quite intense. Oops. Well, anyway, here, I'm going to make a square, right? You see the square? And here, big grand cross. Okay. So this big square in the sky this week ahead on the 19th onward is intense. A couple of weeks after, you're still feeling the reverb. You may be looking at the situation and going, yikes. But there could be some critical turning points here to do with travel, teaching, learning, rental situations, pets, debts, work situations. With Algol and Uranus in your 12th house, people from foreign shores and foreign lands or revenue generated from those places are really intensely activated this week ahead, especially if you make money in the online world. It's not necessarily bad. It could be wealth star, your algo, a positive jump in your money story if you make money online or through teaching or through writing or through publications, especially with Athena. She's like the author, and Sappho here, a poetry goddess of the ancient world. So basically, Athena is lawyers and authors, honestly, or librarians in real life clients chart. So where are you going to author a new story that's going to be deeply inspired from a house of writing, communicating, and ideating? It's going to make a pop for some of you in your spiritual path, your enlightenment path, because this is the house of God and this is the house of spiritual attainment. Some of you will have an enlightenment pop in the 2 weeks that follows this lunation. For the most part, with Jupiter in the house of you till next June and all of that, you're lucky, you're protected, you're blessed, you're fortunate. So this is happening while you're under a very fortunate part of the sky. So not to be stressed out too much about it. And if you're a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, and your sun, moon, or rising is closer to 20 to 29 degrees, you are going to feel this grand cross, but feel it benefiting you, flowing to you. You're actually not minding it at all. Saturn is the ruler of the lunation, one sign over in the 10th house. A lot of this is about your career and the financial gain from your career and turning points in the financial career gain and reputation sphere over the course of the next 1 month that follows the moon and in the next 6 months as well. Now I'm stopping the share to get some chocolate and I'll be right back and we will continue the recording. Don't forget, if you're in the live premiere with me, thanks for being here and you haven't hit the like button, a simple click of that like button is everything to the YouTube algorithm. It so helps the channel grow. I'd appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Okay, let's get back to it. I just had some great chocolate. Got to keep going. Someone said, do you have a magnesium issue? And I don't think so. I take magnesium at night. Just think I have an energy issue, but let's see how we go. Moving on, but thank you for that suggestion. And someone in my comments said, maybe magnesium, you need magnesium. I think I take enough though, but you never know. I know our soil is depleted, so I do take magnesium pills. All right, biglycinate. Moving into the next part of the sky is Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. So go back to February, new moon, check it out. What were you doing back in February, new moon in Aquarius, because it's now the full light completion cycle of a new beginning. It happens to be here at this time, though, a very intense full moon, as we talked about in the introduction. And if you want to look at the introduction, please go back, because I'm not going to repeat that. But Cancer, for you guys, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign, the full light isn't a very difficult place to see. It tends to be when we have events in the 8th house that they're a little bit offside, like we can't, peripheral vision almost, from the identity of your Cancer, sun, moon, or rising. And so you may find that this is not even about you. The 8th house is other people's money. It could be a stock you own, money you have with a business partner or share with a spouse. It can be secrets that you have from your childhood or from your spouse, having secrets from you. It can be about how you share those resources or divide those resources with a partner, spouse type thing. So there's a lot going on in the 8th house. If you're into the occult mysteries, of course, it's the dead people. I talk to dead people, interdimensional occult mysteries, magic, tarot cards, etc. Now, the 8th house full moon is happening on the 19th in the context of a Mercury Cazimi and reflecting what this Mercury sun Vesta flame is trying to do. Yes, that's the star Alphard that's covered in my Mercury webinar. Please go check it out. This is a story that's really opening up a doorway for you of some sort of financial change. You want to look at this as Mercury is going back to look at your money narrative, not just your savings, but your spending and your resources, your income, all the ways that you can possess financial wellness are in that 2nd house. And Mercury has ideas. And he's coming back from the past to look at what ideas can come into the present that will fortify your financial well-being. However, he also started his retrograde before he went into the heart of the sun on the 18th, 19th Cazimi from Virgo. Some of that way that you might be asked from this lunation to change up your money stories could involve financial matters connected to neighbors, neighborhood, online social media, writing projects from your past, or writing projects, Virgo, especially past writing projects you might want to restore, rehab, bring back to life. Partly thinking here as well that people of the third house may be significantly returning from your past. Siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews may have a pivotal role here in this particular Cazimi and be asking you to step up or providing something to you, email, phone calls, and texts from your past that are allowing you to strengthen a new devotion and sacred duty, a soul ignition in how you resource yourself in your financial life. Chiron, the 10th house, most of you Cancers, I've been dealing since 2019 with the feeling of not really being on key with your purpose, not really knowing exactly what your purpose is since 2019. Are you my purpose as Chiron? And you're looking for that turning point this year as the eclipse of April 8th really turned that story inside out. And until in April of 2025, you're really kind of deadheading for healing the Chironic wound in your career and purpose and reputation space. And I bring that up because this is the earnings house that flows to the Chiron North Node in your 10th house, where the Mercury Cazimi is happening. The sacred flame asks for discipline, devotion, and duty, but also ignition, right? Are you sparked out of a sense of deeper heart-centered leonine impulses for making money? And with a full light, you might be inspecting and being shocked and surprised by the money that you share with another person. Now, I don't know who that other person could be because it could be anybody that you share resources with. But Algol, by the way, a money star, and the moon in the house of shared resources are in a square. And there is a T-square here. So how are you going to be looking at this next 2 weeks after the moon? Maybe surprised by things that were hidden from your view to do with finances, especially regarding shared resources with some other institution, bank, loan, mortgage, stock investments, or from somebody you're married to or in a business partnership with. It's almost like a torchlight or a flashlight is shining in a shared money's house. Taxes and tax stories are here as well, shining a light on tax structures. Algol, wealth star, Uranus surprise, 11th house. Allies, benefactors, elder sibling. Okay, now even though it squares your second house, it may not be bad. It may be an ally, benefactor, elder sibling wants to provoke you to make some massively radical and surprising new directions in your money. There's all that. Your earnings, your gains, and your resources directly coming from your career come out of the 11th house. So there is some sense of a shocking, surprising change in career. Money matters as well. Having Athena here, making this into a grand cross, is you need to be strategic with your children, with your romantic and long-term partners, with your creative projects and entrepreneurial businesses. You need to be strategic. You need to be wise. You need to harness wisdom and strategy in order to succeed. Now, because children belong to the 5th house and these are money axis stories, there may be some shocking turnaround or upsetting stories around money matters and children, or money matters and lovers coming up for you in the 2 weeks that follow the moon. Because this is also a moon that's connected to Saturn. And Saturn is the lunation lord and exists in the 2nd house from the moon. The lunation lord is saying, how can you make money or gain financial resourcefulness? 2nd house natures, 2nd house from something about financial wellness and resources from the 9th house. Can you get money from publications? Can you get money from court and legal settlements, especially in divorce for some of you? Can you get money coming to you in the 2 weeks and 6 months in a steady and sure-handed way, Saturn, from things that may be about your church community, your spiritual faith, your place of belonging to a community of seekers? You may also look at the 9th house as visas, passports, travel in foreign lands. And is there any way that that's going to be a source of revenue or money in some way in the next few months after this moon? That Saturn lunation lord is sitting in a flowing aspect pattern to your Cancer sun, moon, and rising, right? So it's going to be feeling good for you. And in that sense, you might see yourself as receiving blessings financially in a steady, measured pace from ninth house matters over the course of the next month after the moon, but also 6 months after the moon. And that steady, measured money pace could involve ninth house people. So opportunities regarding education, higher education, teaching, book publishing contracts. Royalty income comes from the eighth house where the moon is full. Podcasting deals, things to do with judges awarding money, things to do with money acquired from third marriage environments, perhaps, accumulated in a third marriage environment. Anything else I want to say? I mean, you are looking at the idea here, perhaps because of Venus in your third house flowing to the 11th. These are sibling houses, younger and older. So there may be some financial matters involving siblings, younger and older, that are playing out and need some decisions and action plans over the course of the next 6 months based on this sky. Let's clear that and move into the next sign. I am in slow-mo today, guys. I just got back from my getaway. Oh, and thank you for all of you who supported me getting to 80,000 subscribers. I have a free gift for you. It's in my community page tab. Go check it out. I've been giving stuff away lately, so go check that out as well. Community page tab on YouTube. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign in the sky. We have you in the crosshairs, angular to holy moly, holy lunation. Full moon in Aquarius. It is your other people house. Is it your spouse? Is it your business partner? Is it a client? Is it someone significant to you? That is where the full light shines. And this is a beacon, a torch, a revealing, a fulfillment, or a completion. The full moon is also in a square, and that's intense, to Algol and off with their head in the house of your reputation and career. And it squares this full moon. The full moon could indicate disruptive energies between you and a long-term relationship partner that are quite losing one's head, right? Also, you might wonder, what about the Mercury retrograde Cazimi with the Vestal flame? That moon is reflecting it, right? It's sharing the light of that. It's beaming out the sunlight, which is where Mercury sits, where Vesta sits, into your Aquarian sky. You are having insights, downloads, ahas. You are having new ideas that are coming to you, and also ideas from the past that you are rethinking and revising. As I say, Donald Trump is having this. He may change his mind about what? J.D. Vance, about running for office. What are you, Leo, changing your mind about as a result of the full moon in the house of mates, running mates, opponents, and adversaries, significant people in your life? The Vestal flame is sparking a soul ignition, a sacred devotion, something that you want to really, be sparked by in a positive way. You're going to be disciplined if you find that spark in your heart, right? Leo 9, heart energy is here. I wonder if you are at all thinking here, or will be thinking in the course of the 2 weeks and 6 months that follow this moon, about making major career changes as well. Surprising, off with their head. You quit your job quits you, the boss quits, you get to level up. But there's unexpected developments in the career and reputation space as it pertains to you taking mercurial stories from the second house of earnings and money and into the house of your ideas about things. When we have a earning story, we have a job story for most of us. So could Trump change his mind about being in the running for the presidency? Would you change your mind about a job opportunity from the past? Or does an opportunity from your past regarding work and job come to you to make money, and you may change the current status of the work you do? These are options, right? Having this sacred flame here, you're carrying the flame. You've got it in your hand. You got the torch in your hand. You know what you want. You know where you're going to be sparked into a sacred duty, devotion, and soul ignition. No one has to tell you. You know it. And this Mercury Cazimi on the 18th, 19th is going to also help you know it more deeply. You may have a dream at night. You may have an insight. You may have an aha about the direction you want to go in your career, but also in relationship to significant other people in your life. You don't have a running mate, but you do have a mate or a business partner. And what changes may you make in those stories? We'll see, right? And also, we do want to remember that we have Athena down here. Pallas Athene, strategy, wisdom, goddess of victory in war, the intellect. And she is in the fourth house, and she squares all of that, and it makes it a grand cross in the sky. Make or break, make or break. In the 2 weeks that follow this moon, you're feeling a make or break energy. You may want to make or break away from things that have to do with your home. You may want to move. You may want to change your home. You may want to strategically and wisely investigate new places to live. The moon is square from the seventh house with your business partner, with your long-term love partner, to fulfill a goal regarding your home. Because this is Athena in the fourth house, it also connects to your childhood. And because Mercury is retrograde, childhood narratives from your past may be coming back. Childhood friends, people from your childhood, situations from your childhood may be on your Mercury mind. But if that happens, it's like pulling something out of the past into the present for your greater, maybe wealth, Algol in your career. At a practical note, the lunation Lord Saturn is in charge of this story, and he's in the house of shared resources with other people's money. Bank loans, mortgages, stock investments. You are a shareholder, sharing the money you get from your spouse or your spouse and you generate together, or money that you have from tax situations or sudden chunks of payout money, a commission. Okay, so the money of your eighth house is what Saturn's focused on. And it just happens to be that second from the lunation makes Saturn focus about resources financially anyway. So you could end up looking like you're going to, perhaps as a result of this moon, restructure your tax structures, restructure your money with your partner. Saturn, restructure, structure, or be serious and realistic about your 401k or your savings plans and your money that you put where money makes money for you. There's a lot of this energy, though, that has to involve the seventh house, right, where the moon is. And so it's money with your business partner, marriage partner. For Donald Trump, it could be resourceful and financial monies regarding situations with his campaign and his running mate that he has to reassess, revise, and rethink. For example, because he's a Leo and I'm using him as an example. Saturn is really working with Athena, and this is good for mortgages and refinances and mortgage refis and changing financial debt structures with credit cards and home equity. Those stories are very good for you guys over the course of the 2 weeks after this moon and the 6 months that follow. Okay, Leo? And I think that's about all I've got for you today. I remind you that Venus is a money goddess in your second house, and she just happened to be, during the same time the moon is happening, opposite Saturn in the shared resources and squaring Jupiter here in your money house for your career. So you're making some major money decisions around career, finances, money you have with this elder sibling or a friend as an ally, and shared resources with another person, including that friend, ally, or sibling, and things to do with the work money story. Venus is in the house of the money you make through work. So a lot of going on here about changing the way you deal with money and work as well, co-present with this moon. Now, someone really nicely said to me that my last video was a word salad on the full moon. I don't know why people bother, but there's a lot going on in the sky. Any astrologer would be hard pressed to give it a coherent and precise story, because it's one of the most overlapping, busiest stories that this moon is involved in that I've seen in my years as a professional astrologer delivering content on YouTube. So if this sounds like a word salad, then I'm sorry, but I'm trying to give you the most layers possible, not just focus on one simple story. If you want word salad, don't look at me. Look at sometimes Kamala, because I can be unburdened by what has been and what will be, and what has been, and time and school buses. And I don't dislike her. Okay, and I'm not pro her or anti her. All right, moving on. I'm just venting in between signs. Sorry about that. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a full moon that's happening in Aquarius. And as you know, it's intense. We've talked about that in the intro. Because you've already had a seed planted here in February, we're fulfilling and completing some of those seed plantings in your Aquarian sky, which is your work house. So you may be dealing with situations with work and health, pets, and rentals that come to light, fulfillment, and you can see more clearly under the light of full moon what you need to do with work situations, health situations, rental situations, and pet situations. Now, the full moon is also in a square to Algol Uranus in the ninth house of higher education, in the ninth house of matters to do with courts and legal matters, foreign lands, and travel, things to do with father figures. And also the full moon is in an opposition to the Cazimi of Mercury in the heart of the sun, with the vestal flame of what ignites your soul. Now, because addiction, self-undoing, and bad habits belong to the 12th house, there may be an ignition and recognition and turning point, aha, delivered by Mercury, asking you how you can kick a bad habit. You might also be able to look at that bad habit kicking as improving your health, shining a full light in your house of health and power, Pluto, and also making turning points when it comes to things that matter, the meaning of your life. What do you need to do here? The meaning of life, ninth house. Kind of feel here for some of you, Algol, Uranus, a shocking, surprising situation to do with a father figure. Ninth house could be that in Indian astrology from Vedic style. A surprising wealth outcome from a father figure could happen off of this. You never know. But because we're also asking to focus on 12th house matters with ignition and soul ignition, there's 12th house matters can be about foreign lands and shores, and so can the ninth house. And I'm wondering for some of you if there's not some kind of shift regarding your work and the word international company, foreign shores, foreign revenue that surprises you. Now, some of that surprise could come off of a significant other. Saturn is the lunation lord in the house of marriage and business partnership. And maybe a situation with a marriage partner or business partner could lead to some intensity around fulfillment of travel opportunities or relocation opportunities because of your partner, but also making a full change of your own work. Because work that you do in the world, the job you have, is your sixth house, where the full moon is flowing to Jupiter and flowing to Mars in the 10th house. We like that. There's also, like you could say, a full light in the house of work and health that helps you kick addictions, but also fulfill greater success in your career. So look to some significant changes and aha moments that come from deep within your soul, come from places of sleep, meditation, and reverie that help you make massively positive and prosperous turning points in work and career stories over the course of the next 2 weeks and 6 months following the full moon. You'll note that Athena, strategic, wise, and knowledgeable, sits in your third house. And from her position here, she forms a giant cross in the sky that is intense, called a grand cross. Now, with Algol off with her head, Medusa as well, Athena is sitting in the third house. It's a house of travel, short distance. This is a house of travel, long distance. This is a house of skill-based learning. This is a house of long-term learning. This is a house of writing. This is a house of publishing. The axis of 3-9 is also metacosmos, between the world's spiritual energy as well. I would say something like this. You may have a professional learning opportunity emerge suddenly out of the blue, and it's exciting, exhilarating, and daunting. You may have a travel opportunity connected to work that requires sudden decision-making, action, and planning. Like, we got to make a plan now. We got to travel for this work situation. At a deeper level, though, this crosshairs of a grand cross could be really super focused for you, because as a Virgo rising, this Mercury Cazimi is important, your Mercury ruled, on some sort of breakthrough or shift or recognition of patterns that may come from your extended family as well, like aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, or siblings, especially younger, and breaking free and breaking through patterns that have nothing to do with you, but you may have adopted at a subconscious level. Venus is in the house of you. It makes you more attractive, persuasive, charismatic, and likable, congenial, and friendly. You've got the superpower with you right now, and you'll have it through to the 28th or 29th of August. So you want to use that power. And that Venus power is here during this full moon. And while the Venus power isn't connected directly to the moon, it is connected to the Jupiter and Mars in your 10th house. It's a great time to excel in work, to look good to your boss, to really power up lucky breaks in work and career matters. And the full moon in a work house says something similar, supporting amplitude in your work and career stories over the course of the next 2 weeks and 6 months. You know, love is hard, right? Venus is opposite Saturn. You may feel this week ahead, Monday through to the end of the week, love is hard with my significant other, my business partner, my clients are beleaguering me. It is. Love can be hard. Love can be needing endurance, marathon tests of enduring, right? But if you can endure in a long-term struggle in some kind of relationship, it just might feel really gritty this week. You are going to get Jupiter's blessings in the house of reputation, and that can include wedding bells. So love that feels hard can flow forward into the future here if you deal with it this week in a positive way into a consolidated relationship that is legal or moving in together or up leveling in some way. Moving into the next story. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. What a sky, right? Buckle up, babies. This is intense. We have your full moon seeded from last February now occurring at 27 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. And that is okay for you because it flows to you and you don't mind it. You go, hey, big full moon over here flows back at my Libra, sun, moon, and rising. So obviously sun, moon, and rising anywhere 20 to 29 degrees kind of vibe. You're getting more influence from a full moon at 27 Aquarius. But it doesn't feel so hard to you, just like the Gemini risings don't mind this moon as much either, and sun and moon. Geminis don't mind it so bad. Libras don't mind it as much. So it is shining a light, however, Libra, in the house of sexuality, and Pluto is trying to transform your romantic and sexual life. And a flashlight is there. What are you trying to fulfill when it comes to love, romance, and sex? Also to do with your relationship to children and fertility, and also to do with your relationship to your creative and entrepreneurial and artistic projects. So that's what's being lit up in this part of your sky, and you're shining a full flashlight there from a little flashlight that you barely turned on back in February. This full moon is also opposite a Mercury Cazimi that is reflecting the light of insights from Mercury retrograding, things from your past, perhaps, that connect you to themes of addiction, self-undoing, bad habits, foreign land travel, foreign shores, spiritual attainment, and revenue generated from international sources. All those 12th matters, Mercury is going to bring something from the past in the 12th house stories into the now, and also some stuff from your 11th house. So colleagues, coworkers, friends from your past, embedded in a Mercury Cazimi, and a sacred flame of devotion. What is the flame that you have a spark of devotion toward? What do you need to devote yourself to? Where is your soul looking for ignition so that you're disciplined and perseverant from a place of sacrifice that's worth it? Well, it's work and career related matters. It's your earnings from your money and earnings and reputation from the 10th house of career. It's second from the 10th. So your career earnings, career success, career influence is in the story. And you're really asking yourself, what sacrifices are worth my heart-centered devotion? Because you're trying to light that spark where the sacrifice matters, and it is worth the time, effort, and discipline you put into it. And because we square Algol for shocking change, you may make some changes in the way your career money is derived, in the way your creative entrepreneurial satisfaction is happening. And it's coming off the chunky money of other people's money, business partner money, tax structure money, money from banks, loans, and mortgages. House of death. So Uranus is giving you a surprise here. At the same time, with Pluto and the moon together in your fifth house, possibly there could be some financial surprise. Algol is a wealth star, and the fifth house is a good fortune, and particularly money, good fortune through winning money. And it's a possible full light that you're going to fulfill some goodness here by having some positive, unexpected financial stories occur that lighten the load in your work house, because maybe you want to have money that you don't have to earn. Maybe there's something new that wants to emerge for some of you in the 2 weeks and 6 months that follow the full moon. Having the moon opposite Athena, right, during that whole story, oh my goodness, right, is a grand cross. And the grand cross is like, again, a money house, right? Athena, strategy, wisdom, and knowledge about how you manage your possessions, your earnings, your financial savings, resources, and spending is up in the air for you. And Athena here is very lawyerly. So you're looking super strategic about your money stories, really. But there are some surprises this week ahead and into 2 weeks ahead. Maybe you just find a surprising shock around your tax stories, right? Or around your money in the stock market. So you need to be more strategic about it. I'm looking for market downturns. Remember, be careful here. Libras, be careful with your 401k, stock investments, RRSPs, and all of that, because this is going into market turbulence in the next 3 months. And you might get a little bit of heads up here from me, maybe. Cash is king. Put stuff in money market if you can. Bonds, I don't know, something safe, right? Now, Saturn is the lunation lord, and Saturn is in your sixth house of work. So this is also making us see that money made through work and job is connected to the full moon in the fifth house. But it can also be another element here. Full moon in the fifth house, by the way, entrepreneurial and creative endeavors and money you make from those entrepreneurial creative endeavors, or money you get from a child, fifth house, or money you could share with a lover. Okay, fifth house leading to money from the sixth. But we also would note that Saturn's just categorically in a house of pets, tenancies, and rentals, and debts, and debt elimination and debt servicing. So we're looking at stories to do with, when we think of Saturn and the eighth house, we're looking at mortgages, refinancing, debt repayment, credit card payments, all of that. Getting rid of a debt can be a big part of the story. But if you get rid of the debt, it could be literally because of some money fortune, any kind of financial good fortune, inheritances, winning money, that kind of thing can help you eliminate debt 2 weeks after and up to 6 months after this. Saturn is the elder. If you have a grandparent, aging parent, money from those people through inheritances may come as a surprise, but a windfall benefit to you in the 2 weeks to 6 months after the full moon in this part of the chart. You're ruled by Venus, and she's busy doing quiet backroom deals and negotiations on your behalf, or you're hunkered down enjoying your bed pleasures and time alone. But with Venus in this part of the sky, just reminding you gently that she does open up a doorway of positive energy toward your ninth house. And some of you may find that overlapping this moon is a feeling of trusting the divine impulse. The universe has your back, as Gabby Bernstein says in her book, and that something good is always trying to happen. And you may indeed have a spiritual guide, a teacher, a mentor, or a book publishing opportunity emerging in the 6 months after this full moon. Excuse me, moving to the next sign. Please tell me I'm recording. Oh my God, please tell me I restarted my recording. I'm having that moment. Yes, I did. Woo! All right. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the video. If you're in the live premiere and you're still hanging in for this extremely long video, please do not forget that your like button, share, comments, all that stuff help the channel grow, but especially the like button during the premiere. Thank you. I had the great blessing of having 911 people. 911. I've been getting that synchronicity in my live premiere last week, and that was amazing. That's the highest I've ever had. So thank you for helping the channel grow, guys. And I've gotten like a ton of 911 synchronicity. So 9/11, right? I'm not expecting good things to happen in the world the next 6 months when it comes to those kinds of events. And let's keep on going. We're getting back. I needed a water break and just a brain break, actually. All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising, big full moon in Aquarius. The full moon is shining brightly, super brightly in the sky as at 27 degrees of Aquarius, reflecting Mercury Cazimi. What is Aquarius for you? Well, it happens to be about your home life, your private life, the midnight hour, where there's power and wealth and riches. Now, this is legacy wealth as well. Inheritance is included. With a full moon shining in this part of the chart, by the way, happens to be flowing to Jupiter in the house of chunky money and inheritances. Some of you are looking at inheritances coming in the 6 months after the moon. But more importantly, and what we want to look at now, is the moon is reflecting the light of a Cazimi as Mercury in the heart of the sun with the Vestal flame is happening in your 10th house. Your 10th house is asking you to pay attention to what you would like to harness from a place of soul ignition in the amplification of your career success from the past. Now, this is also the father figure house, the 10th house. The sun is father figures. So you may have some sort of financial positive outcomes from a father figure coming through your chart in the next 2 weeks or 6 months after the full moon in your 4th house of legacy wealth, connected to the father, the 10th house in the house of the father. But what about this idea of the retrograde? Mercury is not just in the heart of the sun, but he's also in a retrogradation. And he retrograded from Virgo starting August the 5th. What things from your past that come from your career gains, that come from matters to connect with your elder sibling, that come to connections from friends from your past, allies and benefactors, or financial revenue sources from your past, from your career past, are coming into the now, and also connecting to just career opportunities and career people and career situations from your past. 10th house matters. Money and career matters from your past are igniting here and being brought to your attention in a Cazimi that still asks you, to move toward the money and career stories from your past into more of a sacred ignition of the soul. It's not enough to sacrifice for money. It's asking you to sacrifice because the work you're doing matters to you. It's important. It's worth the time and sacrifice. And if that's not true for you, Scorpio, rethink it. Really rethink it. Well, Mercury is the rethinking god in a retrograde in the heart of the sun and the Cazimi itself. Watch my Cazimi webinar. It'll be attached to the bottom of this video. Go get it. It's free. I taught it already. You can learn how to harness this in profoundly important sky. The Mercury downloads and information and news that may come off this, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday about career matters are significant. What about Algol Uranus squaring the moon, right? That's what everyone's talking about. Well, it can lead to a very critical, wealthy turning point regarding a contract or a legal agreement for work. That's a positive spin. Or some shocking, surprising news delivered by your business or partner or significant long-term mate. That's what I say. For Joe Biden, for example, his son is here, right? And so his son, his identity, his career, is having this energy of some opponent or mate shocking or surprising them. Now, most of us don't have hidden enemies, overt enemies, overt opponents, but if you do, there's a shocking surprise that could destabilize your career and your home life from an opponent. Now, the full moon in the house of the home can fulfill you to move to a new home, a fullness of home, a fulfillment of February's new moon. This is, I want a new home and I want it to be rich and powerful and transformative. And your shocking, surprising energy from a significant other can also be a surprising legal contract opportunity for a new home 2 weeks after, 6 months after the moon. Why not? You do have Jupiter in the house of mortgages and loans, and it's flowing to the moon, and you may be able to get a new home, buy or sell. Anything is possible, or even rent. We want to note that Athena is strategic wisdom and knowledge, and she's opposing this Algol, and you have her in your court. If you're dealing with an erratic circumstance with your long-term love partner and or business legal contracts, etc., and it feels erratic, destabilizing, and shocking, don't worry. You have a knowledge, wisdom, strategic energy, the lawyer, three-dimensional chess-playing vibe of Athena in the house of you. You have what it takes to handle this. You got this, or you are able and capable of dealing with this. And similarly, the full moon regarding fourth house matters is like, okay, if we're going to have a sudden shocking opportunity for a change of home, a new home, 2 weeks after, 6 months after the moon, then I've got a strategic mind and a lawyerly mind for how to pull this thing off. And you also might note that Saturn, as the Lord of the full moon, the lunation boss, happens to be sitting in the sign 1 over. Therefore, you can derive money from your financial resources from your fourth house. Working from home, money, money, money. The proceeds of selling a home. In Horary, when you sell your home and someone says, will I get money from selling my home? We look at the fifth house. The Horary chart looks at the fifth house. It is second house from the fourth. It is money and resources derived from property. So this is like Saturn saying, slow and steady, cautious and true, realistic but grounded energies, Saturn. You can get money from the sale of a home in the 6 months that follow this moon. Or from money from your father or mother or family of origin in the 6 months that follow this moon. The moon is in the house of Saturn is in the house of creativity, art, entrepreneurship. Those are good directions for you financially over the next 6 months, but also the house of pregnancy, also the house of romantic sexual love. So Saturn is trying to bring take that full moon in the fourth house and bring you positive developments as well, just generally that are fifth house, right? So the moon is about, nurturing mother energy. And if some of you are looking for pregnancy, Saturn could say, persevere, endure. You could get pregnant in the course of the 6 months that follow the moon, or your partner. And even though there's an opposition to the sperm and ovum goddess Venus in her fall, right? Perseverance is the key. Don't give up about fertility and pregnancy matters. She's baking in a witnessing to the fertility house for those of you who may be making babies. There is a T-square to this part of the chart, not to freak you out, but if you're trying to get pregnant and you're a Scorpio, quite possibly a dead relative is the one trying to get through. Just saying. And that's it for you guys. And I am going to clear the drawings and move to the next sign. And the next sign that we're going to talk about here is a sign of Sagittarius. You guys have your good old bow and arrow ready to go, right? This is important. Full light, full moon shining brightly in your 27 degrees when the moon happens. Just ignore the degree of your Aquarius house. Of course, if you're 27 degrees, sun, moon, or rising, within 5 degrees of either side, let's go 20 to 29, sun, moon, and rising Sag, it flows to you. It sextiles you. You actually like this moon, doesn't bother you at all. Kind of enjoying the vibe. Full light in the third house, writing projects, travel, teaching. You planted seeds here in February. Neighbors and neighborhood situations, things to do with online world, things to do with blogs, things to do with short distance travel. So these are the areas of fulfillment in the next 2 weeks and 6 months after the moon. And also you might want to look at the idea that the moon itself is in an oppositional energy to Mercury in the heart of the sun with a Vestal flame of devotion. If you're busy writing something, you can complete a writing project, but the question is, are you finding the sacred flame of meaning in what you are writing? Is it truly on your dharmic path? You're looking for soul ignition around writing and publishing projects, teaching and traveling stories. You want soul ignition here. And with Mercury in the heart of the sun retrograde, couple of thoughts. One, you could get anything you want to come to you in an aha download idea. Sunday, Monday from the Cazimi, phone calls, emails, text messages from publishers, foreign lands, foreign tours, higher educational settings. This may propel some of you to look at going back to school in the next 6 months and taking some educational program, or traveling a lot, or publishing and writing. Mercury is retrograding from the sign of Virgo on August the 5th into this part of the chart, is home kingdom. There's also an energy of career directions, opportunities, and situations from your past coming back, career people from your past, career 10th house people from your past making contact with you. Yes, in a couple of weeks after the moon, probably most likely, but also spiritual advisors, guides, therapists, and spiritual traditional energies from your past, educational settings from your past, travel places you've been before. This is a kind of Mercury patron protector of travelers in the heart of the sun and the sun's joy house. They could indicate for some of you a major opportunity for a trip abroad coming off of this full moon, and seeing and hearing or knowing that you can indeed travel, and you'll have an opening for that journey, certainly with strategic Athena in the 12th house of foreign countries and lands and far off shores. Yes, of course, you may travel or learn. This has got learning and traveling, fulfillment baked into this full moon. But also the 12th house is where you do things privately, research, get your knowledge and wisdom base together for a writing or publishing project. 2 weeks, 6 months after the moon. Algol brings the shocking and unexpected, the surprising energies here with Uranus, Algol conjunction, squaring it all. Well, for some of you, it could be a change of home. If your floating IC is here, a fulfillment of a home change for you. If your IC floats in the whole sign 3rd house, but otherwise, it may be changes in your life connecting to a younger sibling, aunts, uncles, cousins, and neighbors. Maybe changes regarding unexpected surprises regarding pets, rental, tenancy situations, work situations. Little shock and awe, a little surprise. Don't worry though, Venus is in the 10th house, and any work changes that surprise you should actually work out on your behalf. But a fallen Venus in the 10th could be somebody in your career space or reputation space has a fall, but it might benefit you. They fall from grace and their job is open and you get it. Who knows? Technically though, as well, Saturn wants to bring you financial benefit in your 4th house, which is home, property, land, and real estate. So, writing projects, traveling projects, teaching projects, neighbors, siblings can create some kind of significant financial well-being from things you're doing in and from your home where Saturn is hunkered down. You definitely, when Saturn's here, may feel alone, lonely, and bored and struggling to be and isolated in your home. A lot of Sagittarius risings especially have been feeling that way for a year, got 2 more years of it. But this can actually help you a lot to get a little bit out of that stress. It's not easy at this point because being home alone, opposing a fallen Venus, did you really want to be in the career space? Did you really want to be standing out above the crowd and in the crowd and being recognized or something? And some of you Sagittarius have found yourself kind of in the dark and home alone and isolated and not getting the recognition you want. That's what that sky looks like. And with a square to Jupiter in the 7th house, some of the struggle is with a long-term love partner that's holding you back. Or there are opportunities that you're not able to always grasp or get, but you may be able to see them after this moon, connected to significant business partners and major changes in a long-term love if you're with one already. Neighbors in neighborhood, 3rd house, Saturn in the 4th house. A change of neighborhood is possible in the 6 months that follows this full moon, but you'll find a steady and a positive direction in your new change of neighborhood if that's something some of you are going to do. So it's like changing the hood, changing the city maybe you live in. Anything else to say here? Nope, we're good. We're good. If someone loses their head at work, a colleague, coworker, boss suddenly gets like off the rails and you have a job and you work, right? And there's sudden shock and awe in the workspace. I wouldn't be surprised, So Sunday through add 2 weeks, really, get the Cazimi gets baked into it. But this too shall pass with, Venus in a trine. It ultimately favors you if someone in the workspace kind of loses their shit in this next week or two ahead. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I want to go back to the sky. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the drill. Sometimes my videos don't have as much content for some signs as others, and I get grief from you guys. I'm just trying to delineate what's most relevant to each sign. And sometimes there's less content for certain signs. And sometimes I just don't mean to, but I go shorter. So live with it. Someone told me I'm always short on Libra, and I didn't know that. And if that's true, I'll try to figure out why. I know a lot of Libra, so I'm not anti-Libra. It's quite often I think about people I know when I'm delineating, and I've got lots of people for Libra in my mind. So if I do give you short shrift Libra, I apologize. Now, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. first things first, right? Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. You are looking at a light in the sky called a full moon at 27 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. And this is a full moon planted from a new moon in Aquarius in February of 2024. Your Aquarius sky and the moon has to go back a day in order to show you where the moon really wants to be. The moon is sitting in your second house of money and earnings, resources, possessions, self-worth, food style, what you put in your mouth and your face. Well, a full light is revealing things to you, showing things to you, completing, fulfilling things here, fulfillment in financial matters. At the same time, Pluto gives it some riches and power, intensity, and transformation. But the moon is opposite a Mercury in the heart of the sun with the Vestal flame in the house of chunky money, money you share with a business partner, spouse, money in your investments and your stocks, money in situations to do with inheritances. That kind of money from the past, Mercury's retrograde, and in the heart of the sun is a part of the narrative. Money from a spouse from the past, money from a business partnership in the past, money from a sibling at the top of the food chain, your seventh house sibling. What is your seventh house sibling? 3 older than you, the third sibling above you. So money from those types of people, seventh house people, is indicated as a possible story. So because the moon is the ruler of your seventh house and the house of what you possess. But also Mercury in the heart of the sun is retrograding in just a categorical part of the sky called chunky money. And he was also in your ninth house. What about foreign shores, foreign lands, foreign third marriages, foreign people, legal and court matters, academic settings? There is money to be had, publications there. And of course, royalty income is your money you share with a publisher, is your eighth house. And you may get residual money, royalty money from book publishing, from educational rebates, grants or stipends coming to you as a result of, but from the past, Mercury's retrograde. If there's any money that you can get as Mercury retrogrades from the 9th to the 8th into the chunky money house, it also could involve money that you may receive from institutional settings like tax, like the IRS, bureaucratic and institutional money from the past coming to you in the course of the 2 weeks that follow the moon, and also more broadly in the 6 months that follow. You could use this full moon here if you desire to complete and or fulfill some kind of dietary style. And a lot of times we don't think of it that way, but our mouth and nose belong to the second house, and it's the house of how we eat and smell and snort and inhale. And so some of you can be making major changes in the way you do that lifestyle wise. And particularly if you start to address that in February, thinking about quitting something that you shouldn't do, maybe, Also, there's that Algol, shock and awe, Uranus combination in your 5th house. Now, this may not be about you. It could be a lover or a child, and some surprising, shocking stories involving them and money matters, financial matters. And they're not necessarily yours to hold and control or whatever. It's just there. So how is this going to show up? I don't know. Your kid shares that they're bankrupt, broke, and they need your money. Your child or your lover has financial calamity. You're pulled into the story. It's got a Mercury Cazimi, phone calls, text messages, and emails with the shocking deliveries on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 18th, 19th, and 20th could come through your sky regarding money connected to lovers and children. Now, this is a funny one for all of us here because you can get Algol, financial wealth, star in the house of winning money, right? Good fortune and money wins, casinos, lottery tickets. And a square just may be the intensity of the decisions and actions you got to take. Mercury in the heart of the sun and a Vestal flame of devotion to the big money picture, money you share with a partner and spouse as well. And the money you possess. So there is a possibility for this to be, for some of you Capricorns, a winning of money and the shock and surprise of the winning of money. When? In the 2 weeks that follow the moon, but maybe also flowing to the 6 months that follow. Strategic Athena is like a lawyer in the house of allies and benefactors and elder sibling, one above you. So some sibling with a strategic eye on the situation, or an ally or benefactor with a strategic eye. This could also be strategic ways to increase gains from your career. But, with the South Node here, a lot of you Capricorns have been letting go of the career path, letting go of the need to be, visibly successful in the world. And you've been thinking about that letting go already since last summer, and it continues to be true until January of this year. You're not particularly ambitiously oriented in the career at this juncture. And just for you, I'll say this asteroid Urania, the muse, does want to re-inspire you to be more career directed, of course, in the next 6 months, because Urania, the muse, the ninth muse, is in a flowing relationship to the full moon. Now, I wonder, we're bringing up a narrative of Saturn, the lord of your sky, your Aquarius rising. Saturn is the lunation lord, and he's in your third house. Second from the moon means that he can bring you money and earnings and resources through writing projects, social media, teaching opportunities, traveling opportunities, skills-based teaching and learning opportunities can generate some financial wellness for you, or money from siblings can generate wellness for you in the course of the 2 weeks or 6 months that follow the moon. And also Saturn here is indicating a possibility that some wealth can come through third house activities that I already mentioned. So third house people, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, or third house situations, travel, writing, learning, teaching are offered up here for you over the course of the 6 months that follow the moon. And a reminder, even though there's a co-present T-square where Venus and Saturn say money and love are hard, and it has to do with travel, foreign lands, local environment, long distance environment. So this could be like long distance love is hard, it could be anything. There is also the square to Jupiter in the sky, the T-square here. That T-square to Jupiter and to Mars indicates some tension this week ahead, coming off the full moon, asking you to take action and make decisions regarding your health and work matters and travel matters. And maybe, just maybe, with this kind of sky, there, because Saturn is the lord of your chart, involved in this, or maybe an opportunity in your work environment that requires travel that may show up for you in the 2 weeks after this moon. That's not what I wanted to do. I was like, oh guys, I want to go outside on a sunny day, so I'm going to finish up. It is the next sign. And we get almost done to me, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. So Aquarius, we have Pluto power for the next 20 years, all power to Aquarius. So everything that happens now, we're going through divine will. We're moving through transpersonal evolutionary forces, and we're being used by something greater than ourselves. And while it's not always easy, a Pluto transit through the sign of our rising sign, sun or moon, it is your soul's objective to try to do and be that in this lifetime. That said, the full moon is in the house of us. We are becoming filled and fulfilled and lighting a big light inside of ourselves. If it's your sun, it's your career matters and purpose. If it's your moon, it's your body mind complex and your home matters. And if your Aquarius rising, it's really just all about the character in this matrix. And you're looking at a full light shining inside the character so you can see the character, know the character, be the character, and fulfill the mandate of your Aquarian self, which is Spock in Star Trek, which is someone concerned with humanitarian, collective, sphere, group, societal storylines, right? All Aquariuses will tell you that they like humanity, but they don't necessarily like people. And so what I would say is a full moon is here. Yes, we know that. And we may have planted seeds for this self-discovery way back in the day, February. But what we see is the opposition to a Cazimi in the house of significant people. This is our audience, marketplace clients. This is our marriage and business partners. And because the Cazimi is happening with other people, sometimes it's not our story. Someone close to us that's significant in business and love, or audience and clients, may have a Cazimi aha download insight that's sacredly devotional to them, and they're going to be somehow connecting that to us. We shall see. But the whole house of the others in your life and your relationship to others is also lit with the Cazimi, not seen since 2017. It's an elemental fire year. And therefore, this Cazimi is really requiring significant attention from you. And it looks to me like the Cazimi wants to simply say, what do you need to be considering regarding revisions to do with matters to do with your eighth house monies, right? Money that makes money, investment money, because Mercury retrograded from your eighth house, and significant marriage relationship people, or significant client audience market and business partnerships. So there's something about pulling your attention toward Mercury marketing, mercantile opportunities, stock markets from the past into alliances. Now, I can use an example for me, if you don't mind. This guy's a stock trader, and he's a shorter, puts in options and hedging and shorts. And he got in touch with me to help me, wants to maybe create a trading system. And I did a reading for him. I told him to pull out of a stock. I hope he did, because it did have a positive earnings report and he would have lost on his position. But this could be me going, oh, I used to be a stock trader. I was a medium-term investor using shorter-term trades. And maybe I'm going to go back to investing in stocks, and I'm having an aha in my life coming through this Cazimi, maybe because of my connection to this fella who's investing in this kind of idea. You may also find that money you share with your spouse and spouses from your past. Now, that sounds crazy, but spouses from your past may be coming to you in the present. And I say that pretty strongly because Venus is a money goddess and shared resources, and Mercury says, we'll take the money from that past into the house of spouse, and spouses from your past and money that they may want to share with you, or business partners from the past may be coming to you in the aftermath of this full moon, even including money from inheritances or separation agreements, etc. Now, there are Algol energies here, and that's also Uranus for the unexpected, the rebellious, the shocking, and the breaking free and through changes in your home, guys. Now, we've been dealing with it, right? Uranus has been here since 2018. We've been having erratic, unpredictable changes of home and disruptions in our home. And then we add, the conjunction with Mars that just happened, like it did in 2021, 2022, the last in a lifetime Mars-Uranus conjunction, July the 15th, means that we keep getting destabilized regarding things we do from our home or where we live, our home itself. I think that this is yet another version of that. We may have an erratic and sudden and unexpected change of home because of the full moon squaring Uranus and Algol here in the fourth house. But Venus is the ruler of this in the house of chunky money. So maybe it's not so bad. And Jupiter in the house of winning money, talking to Venus here, you never know. Maybe some of us will have a sudden opportunity to move because we win some money. It's really a long shot, but it could happen. What else is this about? I'm sorry for the mess in the sky here. It is also about the idea that Saturn, and Athena, you need to be strategic, guys, and wise and knowledgeable about choices you're making in your career vis-a-vis where you live, who you're with, business and love partners, and what you wish to become and be. So you're focused in the 2 weeks that follow on using your strategic, wise mind to make those decisions. I do love, if you're going to write a book, that the ninth muse is up here and flowing to the moon. And this could even indicate in the 6 months that follow an opportunity to publish, write, or create a book or create a new podcast or something like that. Now, Saturn is a lunation lord, and Saturn is sitting here involved in and embroiled in a massive T-square. Should I laugh or should I cry? Yeah. So Saturn is the lunation lord, and he says, let's bring money and financial gain to you in terms of financial resources and possessions through full light on yourself. All eyes on you, all eyes on you. You're big and full. You're shining brightly. And in the fullness of this big, bright night, shining light that you are, from things that you seeded in February, you are able to bring directly financial goodness to your life in a perseverant and steady way, even though sometimes money is hard, right? That's the opposition between Venus and Saturn. And sometimes when you want to be all gumptioned and inspired and bold and courageous in your creative and entrepreneurial projects, sometimes you have to slow it down. There is a break here. It's called Saturn. You may have hit a wall last week. I did. I took 3 days off in the woods regarding money and work and career and creativity and entrepreneurship. There's also the feeling that you may be coming to some major turning points from Saturn as the lunation lord and how you are interacting with romantic love partners and a child, especially a firstborn, but also maybe a secondborn because the sun rules your secondborn. And of course, it's involved in making the full moon happen. So changes in the way you relate to your secondborn child is also possible. Significant hardship and tension may lead to significant changes in the relationship with that person or with a romantic long-term love partner. And I think that's all I've got in my version of this for you and for me. And lastly, and never leastly, and always best, and Pisces, this mystic poets of the old zodiac. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of you guys in my life. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Full moon is in Aquarius. You planted seeds in the 12th house, foreign lands, foreign shores. Maybe spiritual attainment and in liberation. Maybe things to do with money that you make from international borderless income and revenue from foreign people and places. Lots of digital entrepreneurs and online people are now making 12th house money. 12th house stories can also be about your own sabotage, self-undoing, and self-addictions and bad habits and patterns. Full light, you can see what they are. You had a bit of a glimmer at the new moon in February, but now you got a full-on light to see, okay, I'm my own worst enemy. I can see it now. It's really bright and it's very illuminated. At the same time, the shocking and Uranus energy says, did you get some of this illumination here through third house people, siblings, travel, writing projects, social media, online, blogs? Were you reading something? Did you learn something? You take a course that sheds some illumination into your 12th house. Are you going to do that over the course of the 2 weeks and 6 months that follow? You may have a shocking situation with an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, or younger sibling as a result of this particular full moon that amplifies the Algol Uranus shock in the third house, or unexpected foreign land, foreign shore travel opportunities, and some of you moves. With the energy, of course, of a Mercury Cazimi in the 6th house of karmic debt, real debt, work, pets, and rental situations, especially with this Mars Jupiter. Unexpected opportunities to rent a property, get a new pet, change your job, change your work from home, unexpected new exciting opportunities that come from your past, Mercury Cazimi, the sun, connected to your mate, your partner, your significant other in business and love, or a client from your past coming back into the story and helping you release financial debt, change a home rental situation, come into a new place of work that you're devoted to with a soul flame of ignition. Some of you definitely look like you could get a soul flame pet out of this. There's no doubt about it, or a soul flame rental. And you're really feeling the energy of what is going to inspire that ignition of the heart within you, not just the head, as it comes to changes of home as well, right? The flow of the moon to Jupiter and this wedge formation means positive changes of home can come to you, and rental properties and pets and elimination of debts in the next 6 months, especially if some of the money is coming from a spouse from the past, or a client from your past, or a business partner from your past. You're trying to be strategic. You're trying to be wise in the house of God, making a big grand cross here. This looks like lawyers. Get a lawyer involved. Get a book publishing deal going. Get a lawyer involved. Get a book publishing deal going. Get some strategic advice around travel, visas, passports. Do you need a passport, visa, travel, judge, legal matter clarified in the 2 weeks and 6 months after this moon? Are you going to get accepted at a university in a foreign land? Agitating, critical, and urgent need to accept, to travel, to get your ducks in a row. These are all the kinds of stories that may emerge from this big grand cross that forms on the full moon. The surprise is Algol, and we have educational axes all over both 9, 3 and 12 can be travel and educational shocks and surprises, but also connections to work changes as well. Saturn is the lord of the lunation in the house of you, and you may generate money. You are the money maker, gradual and perseverant, realistic and enduring, marathoning through ways in the next 2 weeks and 6 months that you may be able to make a realistic assessment of opportunities from your past. Saturn is retrograde to make some money. Money, resources, and financial stories are trying to come off a 12th house moon. Do you have someone from a foreign country, foreign land, or foreign shore that could ignite some career opportunities for you? Are you possibly opening up doorways here for some educational opportunity that can be also ultimately prosperous in a way? Learning a skills-based education. Uranus is in the third house of skills-based education that allows for some financial well-being and increase, or getting a new job opportunity in an educational setting is really also very likely if any of you have ever been employed in educational settings. A lot of you feel sometimes with this position, Pisces, that your long-term committed love stories can feel challenging right now. Saturn is traveling through your long-term committed love, opposing you. You're kind of like dealing with it, like you're kind of figuring out you've got what it takes to not give up on somebody, business and love partners, clients, but you feel tired. But you got some support from Jupiter and Mars. Some of you may want to make a change of home connected to a long-term business or love partnership, and you're making realistic decisions regarding the possibility of that, co-present with the full moon. Do some of you want to move your home to another country? And do you need to work through the challenge of that regarding the possible legal ramifications or the contractual agreements with your love partner? That's all I've got for you today. I hope that was helpful and useful. I'm finishing this recording on Saturday, August the 17th. It's going out on Sunday. My Patreon community gets it today, early access ad free. Quite often they get stuff way ahead of the curve, but I went on a 3-day getaway because I hit the wall and I need to get some downtime last week in the woods. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for helping me reach 80,000 subscribers. Please share this video, help this channel bump over the 100,000 mark by the end of the year. I would appreciate that. And look at my nails. I went to my son's wedding. This is a girl moment for my girls out there. You know how you get the gels and then you're supposed to take them off and soak them, but you don't have the patience and now you're peeling them off. I never do my nails anymore, right? I just decided it's not my priority, and now I'm not having to deal with that. Okay. In the description box and pinned to the comments are the chapters and are the timestamps to jump to your sign. Please use those liberally. Bye, everybody.